This is Pens Down. Thanks for joining us. On this show, we have labeled it Pens Down because this is where the users of the pen, journalists, they drop it. That is the most important tool. And then they become the newsmakers, not the reporters or presenters. Here we turn the tables and get them to tell us all that they go through, from the motivations that brought them into the Inky fraternity to every experience they have had in the line of duty. It's all laid bare here. Thanks once again for joining us. Today we are going to Nigeria, and I've been joined by a colleague all the way from Nigeria. She is the CEO of Switch24. It's an online media platform. She has quite extensive experience in media practice. You see her profile on your screen as we go on with this conversation. My guest on PENSDOWN today is Aanu Akomolafe. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much, Steven. I'm quite excited to join you here.
First of all, there are a lot you could have done. Why journalism?
That's a very big question. But I think it's about passion for me. It has always been in me from while growing up. I would say it started with my father, who, whenever we're playing as children, would call us and say, you have to sit down and monitor the news and write. I think it started as a punishment. You have to write it down and tell me what you learned from the news and the key points. At first, we thought it was punishment. Oh my, you have to sit still for 1 whole hour. But later, we began to enjoy it. And before we know it, it became something that I look forward to. I love the way the presenters present the news. I love the diction. And I love when teleprompter was introduced and it appeared as if they were reading everything offhand. For me, it was amazing. And I thought, okay, I could do something like this. It graduated into storytelling. For maybe I would gather my friends and tell them stories, highlights of the news. And they were always waiting for it, even though I formed it from my head. And most of them were not actually real. But I enjoyed it. And that was when I know I think it's the calling for me. And the rest of it.
I read through your profile and I have observed that you have quite a distinguished career in the broadcast industry, that is electronic media. A few days ago, I stumbled on a post on your Facebook page, which was talking about why news presenters even smile, although they are delivering bad news. I am curious, during your time as an on-air person, be it radio or television, were there times you handled terrible news and it affected you beyond the screens or off air?
Yes, as human beings, we all have feelings, we have emotions. But one of the things I enjoy with reading, the daily editorial, when we are being taught that you should not bring your emotions on air.
Yeah.
If you are talking about or presenting tragedy or bad news, the onus lie on you not to be upbeat.
Yeah.
To identify with the themes of the people, to cross a bit, to let the people know that this is bad news.
Yes.
There are times we even introduce and say, oh, we are moving on to a story that is not so good, not so heartwarming. You are preparing the mind of the listeners or the viewers to say that what I'm about to say is not something that makes me happy. So now it baffles me when I see that some on-air personalities go on air and they are so excited to deliver it. Even some color and embellish, especially on radio, where they make jokes out of it. And it's appalling for me because I thought we are human first before any other.
Which assignments in these almost 2 decades of journalism practice will stand out for you as the most challenging?
I think I have quite a handful. I don't know where to start now. But for me, it has always been political reporting. Because oftentimes when you're on the field, you don't know when it results in violence and things will go very messy. And the one that was most challenging I can recall now was one that I went for, and my cameraman happens to be a programs department cameraman, not a trained news department cameraman. I don't know if you know what that means. And that means
Yes,
somebody who has always been in studio and not on the field.
that's
I thought
right.
he followed me. And interestingly, as I was moving around, because one of the trains, you don't stay at a place. You have to
Mm-hmm.
listen to what people say. You have to have native intelligence. And so I called him and I said, see, where I am hearing some things, this may get a little bit messy.
Mm.
Please look for places where you can actually have a cover in case anything happens. The guy thought I was joking because everything was calm. I have not finished talking to him and I was looking at, okay, if anything happens, what do I do when I hear gunshots?
Oh,
And normally the next thing is to lie down flat.
yeah.
And before I could get to where I can say, oh, I'm going to hide here, thankfully, I saw a sister station bus and I was just calling for help. And the help, we have already moved some distances when I remembered my cameraman. And at
Wow.
that point, we saw that he was even running for cover. The person who organized the event, her shoes were in her hand and she was running. And I was like, what do I do? How do I go without my cameraman? This is somebody who's not a news person. I have to beg the driver of the flat station, but please, I have to go back and look for my cameraman. It wasn't in this place you have access to phones and you can
Mm-hmm.
send a message or help.
Yeah.
And they said, no, safety first. I said, I can't leave him. This is not even his far. It's another town entirely.
Yeah.
Eventually, we had to go back. By the time we could find him, I was almost in tears.
Oh
He
dear.
came back into the study. He was crying like a baby. He had
Mm.
never experienced something like that before. And I told him, as a news person, you must always, always be sensitive. Even
Mm.
while you are confident, you must be at alert because anything can happen at any time. You are
Mm.
trying to get the news, but you must also be very sensitive. It was actually very, very challenging for me and traumatic at that point in time.
Attrition in journalism. There are a lot of our highly qualified colleagues who have abandoned the crafts. Some of them public relations, corporate communications, politics, and what have you. From where you sit, for almost 2 decades, I know you have seen quite a lot. What do you think accounts for this high rate of attrition journalism is suffering?
Yes, I think so many things were responsible. The first thing when I was talking to you, I talked about passion.
Mm.
If you are not passionate about journalism, it might burn out. Because yes, we have the fame, we have the glamour. But when
Yeah.
you get into journalism, you discover that you may not have that wherewithal or the money or the what you think you get in there.
Mm.
And what keeps you going, that passion that you have for it.
Mm.
Secondly, you agree with me that things are not exactly the way it used to be. There
Yes.
was a time that in my state we have just 2 television stations and 3 radio stations.
Yeah.
So now the market is overcrowded. You
Mm.
have numerous radio stations, online platforms. They are all struggling and the competition is steep. If you do not have a niche for yourself, if you do
Mm.
not have that mindset and determination that do this against all odds, you may
Mm.
burn out.
Mm.
And so the realities are there for journalists. But what keeps us going is the passion, the love of the people, giving voice to the voiceless. Because if you come in here looking for money, I'm sorry to disappoint you. At times, the money will not
One colleague I hosted here told me that if passion does not pay, choose pay over passion. Now, my
be.
next question, does journalism pay?
Does journalism pay? That's a huge question.
Hmm.
To be honest, it pays. Well, it depends on you, the journalist, as a person. Are you evolving?
Hmm.
Are you broad-minded or narrow-minded?
Yeah.
Like I told you, when I started, it was a big camera. You wait for the driver before they have to wait for me. Maybe I've gone for assignment in the morning, wait until I come back in the evening to get the story. But the times have changed. Now we talk
Yes.
about mobile journalism. Are you just an adequate training, exploring new horizons, the new opportunities that are there? I must tell you, the times are changing for good, honestly, because opportunities are banned for journalists. If you can see into all of these things, if you can look at, okay, what else can I do legitimately that will bring in money? Journalism still pays, but it depends on individuals. Do you want to keep doing the same thing over and over again? Or do you want to evolve? You see, so many television stations now go on podcasts. You see, some of these television stations now doing other things, bloggers, adding new things to it to make ends meet. But if you want to remain the same way we've been doing it since 1970, maybe the management.
Let's talk about social media. That is where we met.
Exactly.
How has social media redefined the practice of journalism?
I think a lot have actually changed for the best.
Mm.
Maybe it has its
Mm.
downside too. If I have to be very, very honest, it has its
Yeah.
downside too. But it has actually changed for good. Because if you've been following the trajectory all along, you will
Yes.
discover that it's making the journalism easier. There was a time I'll add my story. I'll wait for editor for the next 1 hour to edit that particular story. After 1 hour, I'll move it to the film editor for broadcast, who will help me cut it the next 1 hour. And for a 2 minute story, I've spent 4 hours. My God, things have changed. In the era of social media, in the era of digital media, you can do it within a twinkling of an eye. Everything, the tools are there. And so social media has actually helped us, but it's like I said, it also has its downside.
Yes.
If you do not harness the potential, it also has its disadvantages.
Let me put you on the spot. Was there at any point in the line of duty that you were approached with anything material or monetary to compromise any story you were doing and then take it?
I think for journalists, it's something that is kind of normal, but we all know it's not normal. And if you ask me, when I was much younger, they call it gift. They didn't tell us it was bribe.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming. I think that was the exact word. Thank you for coming. But then we realized with training. Yes. So we realized with training that these things are wrong. They are trying to buy your conscience. So at that point, I was like, no. The other things I can do legitimately without, and what are the thank you? Things that you don't, that doesn't even worth it. Need to change. And so we start wondering, does it make sense? But the disadvantage is when you start taking thank you for coming, you don't have a voice. They will control you. Oh, why not write the story this way? They will say things they are not supposed to say. You will lose that respect.
Yeah.
When you do your job professionally, definitely the reward will always come. I've done stories that I don't even know who has a story. I covered the story, I did my job, and I left. 3 years later, I met the same man. I cannot even recognize him again. And he said, oh, you covered this assignment. I said, oh, interesting. And he said, thank you. And that was when he said, take this. I said, no, I don't want. He said, no, I've never forgotten that particular job you did. At that point, it's not a prize. I did my job professionally. I did what I'm supposed to do. But if you do your job and you are waiting for somebody to say, hey, you've compromised. And in the long run, I don't think you are going to understand it.
You train bloggers. At least your profile gives me that inkling into it as one of the things you do. Social media has created richer bloggers in Africa than richer journalists. But you and I as journalists are those who are trained to take advantage of mass media platforms to advance the cause of journalism and public information dissemination. What are we not doing right? Which is why people scarcely trained in our kind of skill are having a field day over what should be rightfully ours.
If I should be very honest, journalism is a 24/7 job, a 24 hours job, round the clock. If you are not careful, you may not have time for self-development. While others are upskilling, you are seriously engrossed on assignments and the day-to-day activities that you lose yourself in the process. These people are seeing opportunities and they are seeing it. I mean, they may not be doing it right to interest me. I see a lot of blogs and I get worried. There are so many people that they don't even have any notion about journalism, but they have websites and they put in out there. So as a journalist, you have a leverage because people will come to trust you if you harness the potential in social media. They will know, oh, I've just seen a particular story. Let me go and check this particular website. know whatever he says or whatever she says will be true.
Yeah.
So we have our edge. It's for us to key into it. We are better trained. But if you leave it to those who just saw opportunity and tap into it, journalists will continue to complain. But if we look at it, where is the advantage? Where is the potential? And I'm quite happy because some television stations, some radio stations, and some even print media are now keying into the benefits in social media. You need to plug in. There was a particular training where I was telling them that the future of the media is in podcast. Because if you look at it thoroughly, a lot of the young people that we want to reach are online always. There was a day I was talking about the World Television Day, and somebody commented, he said, when last did I watch the television? I was shocked. But then I actually reposted it. Do they have the time? All day they're on the phone. Even if they want to watch, it's still on the phone.
Yes.
Their apps are there. They connect online. So why not harness the potential? Some people, if they are not in the vehicle, they don't listen to the radio anymore. And that is why people now stream. Because they know that, okay, you can't switch on the radio, you are on the phone, and you can do it online.
Yeah.
So the whole lie on us as journalists to see into all of these things and let it to the fullest and let the world know we are different. Yeah, what we be fake, because whenever it's the original, you must have faith. It's the natural law of nature. But we must show them that we know what we are doing, and we are also using it for our own benefit. Because passion without profit may bring pain at times. So we must also explore.
That's right. Journalism is, the field of journalism has a lot of landmines. I prefer to describe it that way. In the line of duty, has your job, the impact of your work, ever put you in harm's way? Has there been a time somebody has threatened you because of what you have done or some report you have filed?
I think there are times, so many times. I discovered because I do early morning breakfast shows where you have to go very early in the morning to do your breakfast show. I just discovered that somebody was trailing me. Wow. The car will be there when I'm going, the car will start trailing me. And I was like, what is happening? The first day, the second day, a week. And that was when I had to seek for help. Because a lot of times when you talk about politicians, politics, things are happening. And some people get uncomfortable. That's right. Some people will go to any extent to make sure they shut you up. And so if we talk about arm's way, I think it's something that goes very pursuit with a job. But then you have to be intelligent enough to know when to seek for help, when to network, who to reach out to if anything happens. And make sure that wherever you are dishing it out is the truth and nothing but the truth. Because when it comes to our parents, before the police or anything, you can say, these are my senses. And you know you are doing your job the way it should be done. So that at the end of the day, you won't shoot yourself on the leg.
Let's talk about Switch 24, your platform. What is the key focus? What is it that it is set out to do differently from other media platforms, which is why the public should turn their attention to your online portal?
Yes, I think Switch 24 is about giving back to the society. These things that I've learned over the years. A lot of times you discover that if people know better, they will do better. Yes. We keep complaining about younger journalists who are not doing it well. But because they don't know it enough. A lot of them may not have the opportunity to be trained, the kind of training that we had back then. Because we even have some newsrooms that those who head the newsrooms don't even have much experience. Maybe because the CEOs cannot afford to pay talent. So they make do with what they have. So Switch 24 is something that I can use to give back to the society, to train, to tell people, let us discuss what are those things you can harness, what are those things you are not doing right that you can get right. And on our website, we ensure that our news are credible. It's something that we can be proud of. It's something we can do exclusive stories, and the word is changing the narrative for journalists. It's not just about copy and paste that I see these days, and it baffles me. I don't believe in copy and paste. It's something that is uniquely you, and let the world know that even as Africans, as Nigerians, we can make a difference. We can change the narrative.
Will you support any calls for the licensing of journalists?
He said, I actually is. That's a very controversial angle that you are taking me to.
Mm,
If you talk about licenses, is it totally bad? No, I
okay.
won't say it's totally bad. Because at times when you look at it, we have people that are doing things the wrong, and there should be caution. I
And it looks
remember
like
when we
they
were
are
growing up
deliberate
then,
about it.
and they are deliberate about it. Back in those days, if you go on here, you mispronounce names or you battle somebody's image, you get suspended immediately. And
Yes.
so whenever you are doing anything, that consciousness is there. Whatever I'm saying, is it fair? Is it true? Can I defend this? So if the gates are wide open, everybody will do whatever they want and get away with it.
Mm,
But if you have licenses like they are some people not going to use it to their advantage to gag the press? We also talk about the freedom of the press,
yes.
and these are areas. Is it going to be actually what it is meant to be? Or some people
Mm,
will now say, oh, if you are from this media station, we shut you down, you cannot say this. If you are from here, and these are fears in some quarters. And that's why people talk about self-regulation. One thing I know is fake don't last.
mm,
If you are not doing it the right way, eventually it will fall down. The
yes.
best thing is for you to get adequate training.
Mm,
Train yourself. Look up to veterans. Learn the ropes from them. I learn from those who are younger than I am. Because at times, when they are tech savvy, and so I also learn, okay, what are the new things in town? How can I do this? The experts are there. The guides are there. Code of conduct. Follow them. Train yourself. Because as I can say that if you want to solve regulation, people may not have air, yes.
mm.
Those who do not have air, eventually it will show. Whatever you do, whether you are good or bad, it will show. You can't hide it for a long.
In Nigeria, you call it the brown envelope. Cameroon calls it the brown envelope or gombo. In Malawi, they call it logistics. In
Okay.
Liberia, they call it professional services or CATU. In Ghana, we call it
Mm.
SOLE, which is the short form for solidarity.
Oh, oh my goodness.
I mean, on this show, because the guest profile is global, I've gotten to hear various, what I call said names for the same practice. That envelope bearing money, which is handed out to journalists after covering events or doing one interview or the other. I want your honest take on it. What do you think of it? The practice, the brown envelope syndrome.
I, it should be discouraged because it's doing more harm than good.
Mm,
I don't know if you've been in a situation where you've been at an assignment and they are sharing tokens. I don't know what the value in Ghana when people are sharing 300 naira.
mm,
At
mm,
times I want to cry. Is it this low? When I started journalism, there are people that have prestige. You see a
mm.
journalist, you want to be like them
Yes.
because that consciousness, the way they carry themselves.
Mm,
But now, when you now see journalists that it's like they're covering stories because of what they would get. And
yes.
trust me, at times politicians will treat them in such a way that you start wondering why.
Mm,
So I think it's something we should discourage, honestly. And at times, do you blame them when you have media stations that cannot even pay their salary?
mm.
When they hold backlog of salary, and some we have to take the bike to the assignment and hoping they will get something to transport themselves back to their media houses. Then how do you continue this?
Mm.
So I think something honestly must be done. It has not helped journalism in any way. It has rather reduced journalists. And if there is a way we can campaign for it to stop wholeheartedly, I think I'll support it.
And sometimes some of this practice also bounces back to us journalists. I hosted Mr. Yinka Oleto. He's I think the executive director of one media capacity building foundation in Nigeria. And he said there was a time they were having an event. They invited journalists to come and cover an event for journalists. And these invited journalists refused to attend because they would not be given the equivalent of what was $10, which was about 6,800 naira or something like that. I mean, it gets pathetic sometimes, and the kind of indignity it inflicts on the profession is that serious. But my point is, does anybody who also cannot pay have the moral scruples to set up a media house? Journalists have bills to pay.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. Because for me, it is very wrong. If you know you do not have that way out of to pay, why setting
Yes.
up a media house? So I think the challenge is just hidden. I once had a CEO of a media station. He said when he was about to set up his media station, they told him that in 3 years he will be making profit. Unfortunately, he set up the media station, and 5 years he was yet to get the profit. I said no. So if you are looking at it as a profit-making venture, please don't go into the media. Because it's more about humanity. Yes, if you have the structure, the money will come. But don't set it up because of the money. And that is where they get it wrong. And so they burn out, they lose interest, and stop paying. And some even believe that, oh, we are giving you the microphone, we are giving you the platform, so go and money for yourself. Don't disturb me. But what kind of content will you get out from that kind of station? These are questions again. Answer.
In fact, two senior journalists from Nigeria narrated almost coincidentally. I don't even know how it happened here. They said there is a publisher in Nigeria who used to tell his staff that I cannot pay you, but I'm giving you your ID card. Go and make money with it.
Interesting.
This is pathetic. I mean, it means that for you, anything unethical, you are free to engage yourself in once you will not be caught.
It is
Let's
quite
talk
sad.
about
It is quite sad.
Let's talk about your golden moments, the high points of your career, those times that would make you feel so proud that you have chosen something that is bringing all the plaudits, putting all the public attention on you, and giving you the kind of recognition that you deserve per the impact of the work you have done. Golden moments.
I think I have quite some nice memories, but let me just say one because of our time. I remember there was a particular time where I was going and I saw a couple of children inside what I call a puddle because that's not a river, very safety. And they were swimming and they were so happy. I checked my time, it was 10 in the morning. And I asked them, I came up from the car and I asked them, what are you doing there? They said they are playing. In the morning when you're supposed to be in school.
Yes.
And he told me that parents don't have money to send them to school. That really goes to me. What happens to any child? Every child should have access to quality education. So I followed up that particular story. Unfortunately, those who are supposed to give me answers didn't want to talk on camera. So I have to get some contacts, and I interviewed some people from UNICEF and some other places who spoke to me. And I went to the street, I spoke to some parents on why this happened. Interestingly, the story got viral. And a couple of months later, there was a change of government. And the first thing that the new governor said was I was abolishing levies in schools. At that moment, my heart leapt with joy. Because these children could not afford 3,000 naira levies. And that is why they were roaming the streets in the morning. And when the levies were abolished, it was like school enrollment increased, things were opened, children can now come, coupled with the fact that it was a time when they were doing the school feeding program, where children in school have access to food. Yes. And that's another thing that brought them. And so the narrative changed. And I was so happy for me that I can change the narrative. You could give some children opportunity who may have been denied forever, that it can also come to get educated and become something different. It was a moment I can't forget.
That is impact.
Exactly.
Political ownership of the media. We have politicians and politically exposed persons owning big media establishments and setting up big media establishments. Are we sitting on a time bomb or there is no cause for alarm? For instance, the sitting president of Nigeria is the owner of the Nation newspaper and TVC television. I mean, those are big players in the media in Nigeria. There are several others across Africa. Does it portend anything negative, or we shouldn't be too worried about such a development?
Honestly, I think it's a two-way thing. It
Okay.
depends on the angle through which we are looking at it.
Mm,
Because it didn't just start today. If you
mm,
look at the history of the media in Nigeria, for example, it has always been that.
mm,
And that's a thing too.
mm.
It's not a trend that has just started. Because if you think, oh, they are not giving me my voice on this platform, we have a situation, because I've worked with the state media station before, where they'll say oppositions cannot come for interviews, you cannot interview people from the opposition party. And
Yeah,
so they'll say, oh, how do I now have a voice? Before you know it,
mm,
they float their own radio station, their own television, or their print media
that's
to
right.
give them a voice. But this is the thing. What about education views?
Mm-hmm.
What about health views? What about sports? What about other beats as well? Would they also say, oh, you have to do this? And even when I was working for a state-owned television station, I made sure whatever I was saying was fair.
Mm,
Yes, I understand that may be pressure in some quarters, but if you know your honor, trust me, they will respect you. There was a particular situation where I covered an assignment then when I was working with a state television station, and one commissioner called immediately. In fact, he came to the newsroom and he said, where is that reporter? Unfortunately, I was a very young reporter then. Where is that reporter? You didn't give me 4 minutes to talk. And I looked at him. I said, 4 minutes to talk. The whole news story is just 2 minutes. Why should I extend it when it got a minute document? I both looked at me and he was winking that, keep quiet, this is young man. Because the commissioner was shocked. Maybe nobody had ever told him the truth that way before. I said
Mm.
it from my heart without being rude. He was angry at first, but later we became friends. The next time he saw me, he said, this young woman again. I hope whenever you see me, just know that I will make you fair.
Mm,
And wherever you take me to, I'll be able to defend what I have said. It may be difficult, but if you know your honor, you can still balance the story. It may not be as bad as it is.
mm.
Journalists also have problems. When because you want to curry favor, you want to make it look attractive. Oh, have you seen the story I've done for you? I'm trying for you. Then there is a problem there. So it's
Yes.
not just about the ownership, it's about journalists.
Is journalism for you a till death do us part situation, or there will be divorce at a point?
How do I answer that kind of question? That's quite fun. You have to be honest. Journalism for me is artbeat. It's something
Mm,
I'm passionate about.
mm,
Up to now, whenever I'm watching the television and I'm listening to the radio, I'll start talking to myself. Oh, you should have done it this way. Oh, okay. I'll start analyzing. I just relax and enjoy it anyway. It doesn't
mm.
matter.
Yes.
Because once it's in you, it's in you. It's just like a medical doctor who is
Yeah.
traveling
Yeah.
and sort of accident on the way.
Mm-hmm.
The medical doctor will not just go and close his eyes.
Yeah.
Is it that you have to have it? So for me, I think it's passion. I may not be doing it full time,
Okay.
but then whenever the occasion arises, I don't think I'll be able to
If we should roll back the hands of time 20 years, are you taking the same course, journalism, or it will be something else?
stop. Have I thought about this? Okay. What else do I do? I think 20 years. I think it could be journalism.
Mm,
Yes, it has its downsides. Yes, it has its challenges. But for me, even the voices have always been so me, uniquely me. So I
okay.
think if I have to choose, well, maybe I'll do it better. Maybe I'll do it better because I've learned some things. But I think it will still be journalism.
If a mentee or maybe your child walks up to you tomorrow and says, I'm thinking of taking to journalism for a profession, is that person getting your blessing? If they will, what advice will you give to the person that they should do differently from how you started?
Yes, I will tell the person. For the child, in fact, I have one of my child that naturally the way he talks, he likes content creation, and I'm already thinking how mine know mine. I hope. Honestly, you talk about the money. I know
Mhm.
it's so happy that I want something better. But if you talk about the in and if it's something you have truly chosen, because I will never discourage anybody from what he or she loves. If
Mm.
it's actually you, then I will give my child all my blessings. But the only thing is that I will tell the child, look at, explore, don't be narrow-minded.
Yeah.
Don't stick to a particular thing. Evolve with the time. See other ways. The way we've done it, there have been improvements. See how you can better add quality and make it better than it used to be. How would
Mm.
I?
Maybe my final question. I want you to give me your honest assessment of the quality of journalism in Nigeria today. You've lived through almost 2 decades of journalism practice. And through the period, you've seen the evolution, the transformation, the technological advancement, and all the other changes that have taken place. Besides the quality over the years, what is your honest assessment of the quality of journalism in Nigeria today?
Hmm. Let me also say it depends on the way you are looking at it. Because if you
Okay.
talk about the technological development, I would
Mm,
say yes, it's much more better. We are
mm,
getting it right. And can
yes.
compete favorably the global audience, if I have to be very honest. But if you also talk about the content,
Yes.
at times when I see the way some people write, when I see the way some people present the news, I
Mm,
shudder because I think we can do better. Because I think we are the people that trained us then. And these coming generations, they have that training, that confidence to do it better. I think it's a two-way thing. When you talk about technological development, give it to us. It is very much better than it used to be. But if you talk about the content, I think we can improve. I think we can so far.
I said that was my last question, but this just popped up. Just oblige me.
Okay.
Who is your mentor in journalism? I mean, who is that inspiration that's, brought you and has kept you going all this while that you look up to?
Yes, I think I love being on. These are the
Okay.
people that when we're growing up, we look at the way they present and that actually swells us, encourage us. And there are some people that I also love. If you look at it, talking about channels, I think I love my channels television, the way she presents. And there's a couple of other people too that I look at both internationally and in Nigeria. And that encourage me that yes, we are getting it right. And we can do it.
Thank you for this conversation. Truly grateful and honored to have had you on PENSDOWN.
It's a privilege. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I think it's
Thanks for joining us. This has been Pens Down. Here we talk journalism journeys. Wherever the journalists are, anywhere in the world, once English is their official language, one day you'll see them here. And they'll be telling us all that they go through. Here we put the CCTV camera behind the scenes. We turn it on ourselves. And then we let you into the inner workings of journalists. It never gets better anywhere. This is the only one menu show dedicated solely to telling the stories of the storytellers. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back again with another colleague, and the menu will still be the same, journalism journeys. Bye for now.